Hello, I'm Elizabeth, an obsessive backyard gardener who might be able to offer you a couple of tips.
And I'm Keith, a landscape consultant, and I'm also passionate about gardening.
The one thing we both have in common is muddy boots. Muddy Boots is proudly sponsored by Clyde Compost, the premium compost trusted by gardeners who want results. Packed with goodness, free from nasties and perfect for healthy soil and thriving plants. Visit clydecompost.com and tell Vince that Keith and I sent you. Welcome to part 2 of our special visit to Canman 2 in South Australia, where we're spending time with the passionate and innovative team behind Neutrog Australia. We've been very lucky this morning to wrangle the time of 2 of the busiest people at Neutrog, Hazel Ashby, Marketing Manager, and Helen Lovel, Brand Ambassador. The girls are going to give us 15 minutes of their time for an insight into the engine room of Neutrog, one of Australia's most progressive fertiliser producers. Zell, let's start with you if you don't mind.
Go for it.
We were just talking about Neutrog's marketing strategy before we started recording. Can you tell us how the strategy is unique in terms of the competition?
Yes, so the strategy that we use has been developed by our Managing Director, Angus, and it's called an advocacy model. So unlike other brands who use a lot of broad mass media on television and radio, is that we choose to do something that starts much closer to the ground, literally, in that we spend time with garden clubs, with people like Helen, going out to see them and talking to them about what our products are about, how they're made and how they get used. And then we see that information flow organically from one gardener to the next.
That is fantastic. What a great idea. Helen, how does your role work in the company?
So myself and other colleagues of mine, we are the ones who are presenting to the garden clubs, Elizabeth. We're the ones who are training the retailers and talking to them and hopefully inspiring them about our story and the importance of biological fertilisers, because over the last 5 years in particular, I'm sure Keith would agree with this, is our gardeners are really, really embracing of that, because biology is how we're going to feed this planet in the coming decades and centuries, and having an understanding of that and how products work in with that philosophy is really, really important. So that's one of my major roles, is by getting out there and speaking to like-minded people.
Education. That's
Absolutely.
what it's all about.
That's right, Keith.
Teaching the people that it's from the ground up, that the whole thing works.
Yes.
So you build your soil health up first, and the rest will look after itself.
And that's something that's absolutely, obviously I know it's dominant in your podcast, and that's just something that we completely reiterate, like the importance of your soil and your biology is absolutely everything. So much so that as a company, we rebranded ourselves as Neutrog Biological Fertilisers about 21 years ago. And we firmly believe in, and that's what we talk about.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
I think one of the things, if I can jump in there, not too long ago, is that people always looked at their soil, and earthworms were like the marker of
That's
I've got
right.
healthy
Yeah,
soil.
yeah.
And in fact, now what it is that the things that are doing all of the hard work are the ones that you can't see.
That's right.
And I think that the interest and curiosity about microbes and what they actually can do is growing more and more. And we really feel proud of the role that we play in helping to educate people on what they can do.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's so exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're there at that ground roots level and we're hearing the feedback from the gardeners and the questions that we get asked. And it's really, really, it's wonderful.
It is. And a lot of people don't realise that we've got these microbes, we've got fungal, we've got all these flora in our own guts and our own bodies. And, if we look after that, we're going to remain good and healthy. And the same thing is applying to the soil. It's just, it's all that goodness that's in the soil as well that's going to produce good, great, healthy, vegetables or fruit trees or plants of any sort.
And if the soil is good, then the products are good, and they're organic and natural, and then we're obviously going to benefit from that, depending on what we put into our mouths as a result of all of that. You have a number of products. Neutrog has a number of products, which are all fantastic, of course. Can you, because our gardeners really want to know, what can I use on what? Is there a possibility that you can actually go through some of those products and tell us what?
Absolutely. And having listened to a number of your podcasts myself, Elizabeth, I know that you're both very, very keen on Gigantic, so it's probably worth telling the story behind that one. So Gigantic is a true fertiliser, so it's organically based with a small chemical component, super biologically active. I've pointed out to you our rare fruit arboretums across the road. And by developing a new product, invariably they will have been under trial for a number of years, at least 3 years, with a key gardening group or a farming body. And Giganic came about through the Rare Fruit Society of South Australia. So it's, as I said, super biologically active. It will feed the soil, it will actually feed the plant, and it's been designed to encourage fruit size as well as quality and flavour. So that's why you'll get those great big lemons. That will be juicy and not thick-skinned. So what we advocate, like, citrus are massively gross feeders. I'd be recommending you be feeding them with Giganic every 8 weeks, and, consider supplementing it with some go-go juice so that you're watering in with a probiotic, getting the microbes into the soil.
Yeah.
And as you know, Keith, even though it's designed for citrus and veggies and fruit, if you've got lots of other things in the garden, like maybe you've got a big orchard, but maybe you've got, somebody who's listening has also got, hydrangea and a few roses. You don't need one of everything. Like, we'd like to think you've got one of everything. But you could use the Giganic on them. The only thing you wouldn't use Giganic on would be, say, an Australian native plant or something that's in the Proteaceae family.
That's great. That's great impact. That's exactly what our gardeners want to hear.
Yeah.
So with the natives, though, there's another product for that, isn't there?
Yes.
As well. What's that?
So bush tucker. Yes.
Tell us about bush tucker.
So bush tucker, it was developed with the Australian plant societies around the country, and everybody in a group that we would speak with, and there's a lot of regional groups and metropolitan groups, were given a 10-kilogram bag of, at that time, as an unyet name, whatever I'm trying to say. Unnamed as yet fertiliser. Very occasionally somebody within the APS would say, well, thank you, but no thanks. I don't want your fertiliser. I don't feed my natives. I never have and I never will. And we would understand that because it's been a mindset for many years, because our natives have developed over the eons to be massively great survivors. Anyway, I would say, look, I get where you're coming from, but how much better might they be if you fertilise them?
Exactly. And I showed you a little text that came through to me this morning.
Yes, yeah.
Where one of our followers had shown me some leaves, some gum leaves that had little brown spots all over it, and that's a fungal disease that it's got there. So I've said, look, use a bit of copper sulphate on that to clean those up, top and bottom, and then do a follow-up in 2 weeks. And then I strongly suggest that you get onto some bush tucker, because that's what it's for. It is to feed Australian natives. Plants that don't like a lot of phosphorus, so it's very, very low in the phosphorus range, but it is just packed with goodness to really push along Australian natives, to give them the best possible outcomes.
And it's like anything, the underlying structure of everything we talk about at training and garden club presentations, and even to the big parks and landmark gardens that we sponsor around the country, are follow a feeding program. Something each season. So for an Australian native, like, lots of them flower in the winter and the early spring. So think about feeding them in the 2-month lead-up time to when you would expect them to be flowering, so that you get the absolute most out of them.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like when you're following up, we went to a wildflower conference a couple of years ago, Angus Stewart, who's the face of Bush Tucker, Dr. Yui Strower and we had 160 growers from around the country who are growing cut Australian natives and non-natives like proteas for the floral markets in Melbourne, Sydney and the export market. Now, when you're speaking to a grower and he said, I'm getting an extra 30 centimetres of growth on my waratahs, extra buds, which means a better price at market, like, they're doing it because
it's productivity, it's profit.
Absolutely. So we advocate feeding all of your natives with bush tucker at least once each season.
And the proteas as well. You said
absolutely,
non-native, but
anything in the the protea family.
Okay. Next, we've got to get through them all. Sudden impact. Sudden impact for lawns, sudden impact for roses. Tell us about those.
Well, Zell, did you want to have a chat? Or
come on, Zell.
I can't get a word in edgeways.
You'll do better with
I've got things for Zell. I'll think of something for Zell, don't worry.
Better with fertiliser than I will.
So sudden impact for roses for many, many years was our landmark product. It's probably, as I would say, been overtaken by Hooflung Dung these days.
I think so.
But it was the very first product that we ever developed with a key gardening group, and that was the Rose Society of South Australia. And we developed this product over 3 years, and we're great at making fertiliser, but, we don't know what an expert needs to grow the best rose. And so they would say, this is what you need to do, altering the major and the minor elements. at the end of the 3-year trials, we released the product to market and took the horticultural world by storm. And again, follow a year-round feeding program. So some of our listeners or your listeners might know that Flemington Racecourse, world famous for their roses.
Oh, yeah.
They go through 2 tonne of sudden impact each season. So they take 6 tonne throughout the year and 2 tonne of sea mungus in the winter. And they will start to fertilise. Now, keep in mind that it's Melbourne, so you'll probably start to fertilise as soon as the plant starts to leaf up.
A little bit of bud.
Yeah, and the sap's starting to flow and move through the plant. Follow up again about 8 to 10 weeks later with another feed, and then follow up again with another feed late summer, early autumn. Now, that will vary if you're in a really cold area by, a few weeks either side. I must say, if anyone's ever got any questions and they're interested, you can always jump onto our website and ask questions. But by following that feeding program regularly, that's where you get those superb results.
Yeah, and disease-free, which is just fantastic.
Yeah, like beautiful flowers, strong, healthy growth. And, for me, I'm passionate about my garden, as you both are. And to me, gardening is food for your soul.
Yep.
And if you go out there and it's looking great, you feel great. But if you go out there and it's like, oh, gosh, I should have fertilised. I've been away for 3 months on holidays. The roses are looking tired. They're covered in aphids. It breaks your heart.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah, but again, like we're talking with the gigantic, it's great for everything. But if you've got lots of roses, but again, you've got a citrus in a pot and you've got, a beautiful crepe myrtle or something like that, and you don't want one of everything, sudden impact roses will do everything except Australian natives. And that's because there's 4 points of phosphorus in it, and it's a little bit too much for sun. Yeah.
Okay. Moving on fast. I'm thinking behind me, populate. Oh, sudden impact for lawns as well. We've got too much.
We do, Elizabeth. So sudden impact for lawns is a lawn fertiliser. It's got a higher nitrogen to potassium ratio because it's a leafy plant, like literally millions of leafy plants that comprise a lawn. And so they need more nitrogen than anything else. We have now coated sudden impact for lawns with populate. So it's got the super fancy pants microbes on it. And
that's the technical.
That is a scientific technical term.
We like that.
I don't know what you even think of that term.
It makes sense.
Probably clip me around the ear. But sudden impact for lawns is designed for all lawn types, including your warmer season grasses like your cooches and buffaloes and kikuus.
Yep.
But bear in mind, as with any lawn product, whether it's a broader bladed grass or, a finer fescue or something, water it in thoroughly after you've applied it so it washes off the foliage.
Yep.
And
I go through and broad fork all my lawns, and I applied Rooster Booster.
Yeah, I know you do.
That was my next question, because I was going to say, what is a general all-purpose product when someone's going, oh gosh, I can't keep up with this, I'm in a hurry, what am I going to use?
You know what, Elizabeth, if you just want something that will do absolutely everything in your garden, and I get asked this a lot when I'm out and about, is sea mungus and go-go juice. It will do everything in the garden. Okay. It will feed your lawn, it will feed your natives, it will go through your veggie garden. And the reason I say go-go juice is all about watering it in. You need a food source for your microbes, and by putting out the sea mungus, watering in with the go-go juice, and again, do it each season.
Yep.
Beginning of each season.
Yep.
It's like clockwork. Yep. Okay. All right. So Rooster Boosters.
Rooster Boosters
I'm going to replace that now, because you've just told me, it's with sea mungus.
Well, sea mungus has poultry manure in it that's been through an extensive composting process, but it also has seaweed and fish meal and kelp.
It's got those extra.
And then one of the benefits of that is that once it breaks down, it will hold up to 70% of its own weight in moisture. It will help really plants to, because it strengthens up the cell walls so much because of the seaweed component, they can cope with extremes of heat or cold.
Yep.
So, Keith, if you're living, in an area which is extremely frosty or, super hot in summer, if you put that out onto your garden before that season, your garden's going to cope so much better.
And it's great if you've got citrus in frosty areas. Where you apply that on a regular basis, it'll just strengthen up the cells on those.
And that's something I do. Like I've got massive pots on our deck with a lime, a lemon, and an orange. I think the orange is about 30 years old. I'm never going to repot them because they're so big. But I top them up with the premium potting mix. They get the sea mungus, they get the go-go juice and the gigantic. And
fantastic. Now, we've got a lot of camellia, rhododendron, azalea lovers in Melbourne. Are you going to use the sea mungus on that, or are we going to use something else, another product?
Oh, you could use kahuna.
Yeah, tell us about that.
So Kahuna is designed for all of your acid-loving plants. So azaleas, rhodies, daphnes, blueberries.
Blueberries,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah,
Big one.
yeah.
Azaleas, yeah.
Magnolias,
Yeah.
rhodies, and it's designed, it doesn't alter the pH of your soil, so it's important to point that out, but it feeds the nutritional requirements of those acid-loving plants. It is boosted in things like iron and magnesium because they can suffer from those magnesium deficiencies. I saw a lady at a garden club talk actually, it would have been about autumn last year, and I see her regularly around the traps over the last 20 years, and she said, oh, look at my Daphne. She said it was beautiful. It was about to bud up and it's gone yellow overnight. And I wouldn't normally recommend fertilising something that was really sick, but I had a look at her photo and I said, oh, it doesn't look too bad. I said, Jan, what I think you should do is put out some Kahuna, water it in with go-go juice. Anyway, I saw her about mid-spring later that year. She said, look at it, the before and after photograph.
Yeah.
She said that picked up in about 3 weeks.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the
that's a-
beauty about the liquids.
What a great
It's
ad.
absorbed
What
straight
a great
away.
ad that was. Yeah, amazing, amazing. Zell.
Yes. I don't know how I can follow that.
Trepidation. Yes.
Separate things. Can you tell us, because what you were talking about, obviously Flemington Racecourse is a huge one for Neutrog. I mean, that's amazing, and we all know about Flemington Racecourse. What are some of the other bigger gardens that you can tell us about throughout the country where Neutrog is? I mean, you're everywhere.
Well, so, I mean, in South Australia, Carrick Hill is a big partner of ours, which is a big, old, established
Beautiful.
garden. And we've worked a lot with them on improving their soil health, but they also have a wide variety of plants, which Helen, again, can probably talk more about what's at Carrick Hill.
Well, they've got a massive rose garden,
got
beautiful
natives.
lawns, natives, perennial borders and that type
Yeah.
of thing. They use a lot of who-flung dung. I've actually just had an email this morning about I need to organise their who-flung dung for the year.
Yep.
And we all know about Hoo-Flung Dung. We talk about Hoo-Flung Dung, every time we
Just
talk.
about every time we do.
Every time we
indeed.
talk, because sorry to interrupt, but that
No, no.
Hoo-Flung Dung is so popular. It must be one of your huge products, I would imagine.
It is. And I think that, and I'm going to now dovetail into some product talk alongside Helen, but I think one of the things that we've seen with councils who we work with, sporting grounds, big schools, or everyone, and back to home gardeners as well, is just everyone's constant need to improve soil. Like we hear a lot of stuff with our gardeners out of Western Australia who really, really struggle. And I think that has dovetailed into the development of Chock-a-Block, which is our new compost
Yeah,
product.
and
Yes,
about
we
time.
And because I think we were doing really good, we really broke new ground with Hoo-Flung Dung and then adding the activation of biologicals in go-go juice and populate. But there was that one step, which was compost, and we knew that lots of people were using compost. And people wanting to repurpose waste from their garden, which is, in my opinion, good compost because you know exactly what's in that compost pile. But we started to hear lots of stories from people about compost that they were buying out in the market, bagged compost, and which is made from recycled green waste out of the green bins on the curb. Great initiative to be recycling material,
Yeah.
but unfortunately not
Doesn't
everyone
always.
is as strict as what
No.
goes into their green bin as the next person. And we really knew what we had here on site that at that time was purely going into pellets or Hoo-Flung Dung, and we thought there really is a market for us to put what we know to be the best compost possible available to farmers around the country, or farmers and
gardeners.
gardeners.
Gardeners,
yeah.
yeah.
And so that's how Chock-a-Block came to be. And so now what we're seeing is the demand from big gardens to use Chock-a-Block in improving the soil and then adding that layer of Hoo-Flung
Hoo-Flung
Dung
Dung on top. Yep.
But also too, like it's not just the Chock-a-Blocks through the soil as you're planting, even if you're popping in a punnet of seedlings, a pinch of Seamungus or Rooster Booster pellets through the hole, whack the seedling in, water it in with some go-go juice, and you've got the quadrella. No, it's not a quadrella.
Yeah,
it's
no,
a
it's a
quadrella.
Yeah. Because it used to
quadrella.
be a trifecta, but now we've turned it into a
Quaddy.
Quadrella.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sorry,
And that is just such an important thing that was mentioned there, that all of the quality compost actually is not derived from green waste. I did a post on that where I tested lots of available compost products from the big green warehouse, and nearly all of them had rubbish in them in the way of glass,
Disappointing.
stone, plastic, and then their pH was up above 9, which is that is considered landfill.
It should be.
That is landfill quality.
It should be. Where should it be? 7.
Buried.
It should be at 7.
It should be at 7, yeah. And this is what Chock-a-Block is. You know, it's sitting at 7, and that's just fantastic. And on the back of the bag it says no green waste,
Yeah, which
and
is
that's
fantastic.
very important.
And I'm sorry that we interrupted. You were telling us about the big garden, so I didn't mean to. We sort of moved on from that. But so
I'm trying to think
Well, it's
about
a lovely conversation. We've got the Adelaide Botanic Gardens.
Yes. Yeah, lots of botanic gardens, but I'm actually weirdly pulling a blank on naming specific
Oh,
gardens.
don't worry. Well, because Melbourne's we've got the Flemington, you've got the Botanic Gardens in Melbourne.
Yeah,
you've got
at
most of the
Cranbourne.
Botanic Gardens.
Cranbourne.
Yeah, Cranbourne Botanic Gardens,
Yeah.
like they're an Australian native garden, and
Oh,
they
yeah.
use lots of bush tucker, lots of sea mungus. They're doing lots with populate. We also have the Mornington Botanic Rose Garden, the Victoria State Rose Garden out at Werribee Park Mansion,
Emu Valley and
Emu Valley Rhododendron Garden in Tasmania, the Royal Tasmanian Gardens at Hobart,
Yep.
Government House at Hobart,
Sydney.
Sydney, yeah.
Oh, you've got them all.
Oh, look, I can't think of many high-profile parks and gardens around the country who don't use our products.
That's amazing. That is. There's a reason for that.
It's
Because it's good.
Yes,
They're good.
Yeah, yep.
Now, we're going to talk about the names. Who's going to talk about the names? Because the names
Sell-
are
sell-
so incredibly catchy.
are.
You know, we all get a laugh or a smile out of the names. Did you come up with them, Sal? Who comes
That
up with
is
these
absolutely
names?
not me. No, Angus, our managing director and the owner of Neutrog, started off that whole naming philosophy, and it was and he can probably talk about it when you have a chance to chat to him. But you know, gardening products are incredibly competitive, and when he started off bringing products into the retail market, is that Don Burke was the guru. He was the guru. And at that point, we simply couldn't afford to work with Don Burke. His prices were astronomical. And so the decision was made that the only way that we were going to attract attention in a really cluttered retail environment was to name our products in a way that people couldn't not look at it and pick it up and go, what is this? And I think the interesting thing for me as a marketing manager is that I have so many brands that have an individual personality. They have individual use. They have people who love this one and don't love that one. Some of the names make sense. Some of them don't. But we get the question every time I go to a garden club talk, is the number one question we get from people is tell us about the names.
Absolutely.
And it is such a point of difference. And I've got a naming folder on my desk where Angus is constantly thinking about new names. Some of them are appropriate
and some of them not.
are less
There was a bit of a story about that, I think.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't know if we should repeat it, though, should we?
Probably
No.
not. No.
Okay.
But something about the bed.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, we have a lot. Our products are really serious, and I say this to people: it's silly names but serious product.
Yeah.
And I think that we have a lot of fun with it. It is absolutely in line with our brand personality. You can see the sort of people we are. We don't take ourselves too seriously, and the names are a fun part of it. They really are.
They are.
Yeah.
And look, I don't think, like as you said, every talk that you go to, somebody brings up the names, and Hoofling Dung probably gets the biggest laugh. But I always say that Angus names the product. But we are seriously very, very scientific, very analytical, very process driven about how we produce our product, and hence we have a lot of fun with the naming.
The names.
I don't think there's any doubt that the seriousness is in the actual product, but we've got to have a bit of fun on the outside.
Yeah.
That's good.
And
That's
it's
great.
really, I mean, it gives us, people know our products by name.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
And they walk in and ask for them by name. And that's, I mean, that's not happened overnight, but it's something we're really, really proud of.
It's only yours. That is yours to own.
Yeah.
And that sort of fun of naming the products resonates throughout this whole building, I think. You know, the people and the personalities within this organisation are just absolutely sensational.
Yep.
From our lovely talk the other day with our laboratory chief, our laboratory guru, you know.
Dr. Yui Stroa.
Yeah.
That's right.
You know, it's just the great personalities and great products. I just love them. It's just fantastic. Yeah,
Great people, great products.
exactly.
We, up until recently, we have monthly lunches here. We clear a space in the warehouse and we have our staff will sit down for a meal and we bring visitors in and they get an opportunity to tour the site and sort of get to know what we're all about. And Angus says this, and with a very gentle language warning before it, is that he says no one anywhere in the world puts as much love into chicken shit as what we do.
Yeah.
And that is absolutely, that could not be
So
true.
true.
Yeah, it starts off as something completely natural and is turned into something better than nature could ever imagine.
Yeah.
So it's pretty fascinating.
And that's a credit to the people here, you know, how much effort you're putting into things. And it's not just, I found out, not just for this business, it's for people around the world. And so I found out, you know, which is just fantastic. You're doing wonderful things.
Yeah. There are containers and containers that head out of here each week heading overseas. And I still get a huge kick out of the photos that we get back when product ends up in Cambodia and Vietnam and places all throughout Asia. And sometimes, you know, we see it leave here in huge containers, but what they take away is a 20-kilo bag or a 40-kilo bag, and that is used to literally grow the food that feeds their family by hand. They use our product by hand, growing rice, growing food, growing feed for their stock. I mean, that sort of stuff, it's a small part, but yet feels really big.
Yeah. And another thing I found really exciting is we've California grow around 80% of the almonds that are consumed around the world each year, and Australia pretty much pick up the other 20%. Now, almonds can get a disease called almond hull rot, and I was reading our August farming newsletter last year, and I'm like, oh, I didn't know we'd been doing massive trials with huge almond properties in New South Wales. UWI has found a way to really make a difference to that disease, so much so that the Californians have got wind of it. Then there's product going over there for them to trial. Like, that's super
That's a big
cool.
market.
Yeah.
This is the beginning of something really huge. We are sitting with these girls. It's just we can see a huge future. We want to be part of it.
We do.
That is fantastic. Thank you so much to both of you. Is there anything we've missed?
Oh, look, it's
There's more. There are more products, but we can't go on
We
forever.
only got so much, and it's been such a pleasure to host you
thank
here.
you for your interest.
And it's really great. So thank you for having us both.
No, thank you for having
Pleasure.
us.
Thank you.
We really appreciate it. It's been
Really
amazing. Been amazing.
fantastic.
And hopefully we might get a chance to speak to the
boss.
CEO,
you'll be
founder,
the boss
owner,
himself.
if he's got
We'll
some
be
time.
pulling him
we'll
in
see.
by the ear, won't we?
Fantastic.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, girls.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you for listening to Muddy Boots. For more information on today's podcast, please go to muddyboots.net.au, and happy gardening.